All right, today we're digging into a story that just keeps getting more complex, the story of Jeffrey Epstein. His name brings up images of incredible wealth, immense power, and a truly disturbing criminal network. We're going to break down how he operated, who was in his orbit, and why, even years after his death, the release of the so-called Epstein files is still sending shockwaves through the highest levels of society. So, what exactly are the Epstein files? Well, think of them as a massive collection of court documents. We're talking depositions, flight logs, private calendars, testimony that are slowly, piece by piece, pulling back the curtain on this whole criminal enterprise. And the very center of that enterprise? It was a private island in the Caribbean, a place that was sold as a paradise, but was, for so many, a prison. They called it Little St. James. This 72-acre island was supposed to be the ultimate billionaire's hideaway. But behind that picture-perfect facade of sandy beaches and luxury villas, it was allegedly the central hub for Epstein's sex trafficking ring, a place where unspeakable crimes were committed against young women and girls. When investigators finally got onto the island, they found a setup that was just bizarre and, frankly, sinister. There was this strange, temple-like building with a golden dome. Rumors of underground tunnels were everywhere. Security cameras monitored your every move. And guests, who included some of the most powerful people on the planet, were flown in on his private jet, a plane with the infamous nickname the Lolita Express. So you have to ask, who was the man at the center of all this? I mean, how does a math teacher from Brooklyn end up a billionaire tycoon with access to literally anyone he wants? His story is just this shockingly fast rise to the top. Epstein's climb was meteoric. He starts out as a teacher, but quickly jumps to Wall Street. His real golden ticket, though, was one key client, Leslie Wexner, the billionaire founder of huge brands like Victoria's Secret. By somehow gaining almost total control over Wexner's massive fortune, Epstein managed to build his own global empire of luxury homes and private islands. And the scale of his wealth was just staggering. We're talking about a 75,000-acre ranch out in New Mexico, one of the biggest private homes in all of Manhattan, a fancy apartment in Paris. But you see, this wealth wasn't just about living a lavish lifestyle. It was a tool. It was the key he used to unlock the doors to the global elite. But here's the thing. Epstein's most valuable asset wasn't actually his money. It was his network, his connections. They were both his shield and his weapon, giving him access and, as we're about to see, giving him protection. Right at the heart of this whole operation was Ghislaine Maxwell. As the daughter of a famous and disgraced media tycoon, she moved through elite social circles with total ease. She's been called the madam and the mastermind of the whole ring, allegedly using her social status to lure vulnerable young women and girls into their world with false promises of money and careers. You look at his flight logs, his personal calendars. It reads like a who's who of global power. We're talking about former U.S. presidents like Bill Clinton and Donald Trump, tech billionaires like Bill Gates, even senior members of the British royal family like Prince Andrew. His influence stretched from politics and finance all the way to science and Hollywood. And this is the million-dollar question, right? When investigators finally raided Epstein's properties, they found these weird collections of photos and CDs. This sparked theories that he wasn't just schmoozing with all these powerful people. He might have been collecting compromising material, blackmail, to control them and ensure their silence and protection. So, with so much evidence of abuse spanning decades, how on earth did he get away with it for so long? Well, the answer seems to point to a really frustrating and massive failure within the justice system itself. The first real crack in his armor appeared back in 2005, and it was thanks to the incredible courage of a victim named Courtney Wild. She filed a police report in Palm Beach, and that kicked off an investigation that quickly found dozens more victims. It really seemed like justice was coming. But then, it was all derailed by a secret, backroom plea deal. Just look at the difference between the two cases. It's staggering. In 2008, he gets this secret plea deal that not only protected him, but also his co-conspirators from any federal charges. He served just 13 months, and he got work release privileges almost every day. Fast forward a decade, he's arrested on new federal charges, bail is denied, and he's looking at life in prison. It's night and day. For years, the story just went cold. That silence was absolutely shattered in 2018 by the incredible reporting of journalist Julie K. Brown. Her investigation, which she perfectly titled Perversion of Justice, exposed the scandalous secret details of that 2008 plea deal. It sparked massive public outrage and basically forced federal prosecutors to reopen the case. So in July 2019, Epstein is arrested again. And this time, it's clear there would be no secret deal. You could imagine the most powerful people in the world just holding their breath, waiting to see who he would name to try and save himself. But the trial everyone was waiting for, well, it never happened. In a turn that shocked everyone, just weeks after his arrest, Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his cell at one of the most secure federal jails in America. Just like that, the man who held so many secrets was permanently silenced. Now, the official ruling was suicide by hanging. But the circumstances around his death were so weird, so convenient for so many powerful people, that they immediately fueled widespread suspicion and a ton of conspiracy theories. And you can see why people were suspicious. Think about this series of failures at the jail. Epstein had just been taken off suicide watch, which seemed to go against protocol. The two guards who were supposed to be watching him reportedly fell asleep for hours. And, almost unbelievably, the security cameras right outside his cell just happened to malfunction that specific night. While Epstein himself escaped a final judgment, his chief accomplice did not. In 2022, Ghislaine Maxwell was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison for her role as the mastermind. It's a pretty stark contrast to the measly 13 months Epstein served for his first conviction. After his death, a compensation fund was set up using his estate. It's since paid out over $121 million to more than 150 of his victims. It's a measure of financial justice, of course, but it can never undo the trauma they endured. But the full story, it's still coming out. These Epstein files, this massive collection of court documents, are slowly being unsealed. And while tens of thousands of pages have been released, you have to realize that's just a tiny sliver of the more than 1 million pages that are still sealed and hidden from the public. Now, the push for transparency actually has the law behind it. The Epstein Files Transparency Act is designed to force the release of all the remaining documents. But a huge legal battle is still going on between people pushing for full disclosure and powerful figures who are fighting to keep their names secret, usually citing privacy concerns. So, this is where we're left. Even in death, Jeffrey Epstein's shadow hangs heavy over the world's most powerful people. A story that began with the courage of just one victim has ended up exposing a deep rot at the highest levels of power. The final question isn't if more secrets are going to come out, but whose, and what happens when they finally do.